The goal of the game of Conspiracy is to be the first to collect 100 or more followers to your chosen belief. To start a regular game, shuffle the news deck, placing it in the middle of the table with the news stories facing up. Next, shuffle the action deck and place it next to the news deck. If you're playing with only 2 players, be sure to remove the cards marked with a 2- symbol before you shuffle. Next, it's time for the players to choose the conspiracy that they will be endorsing throughout the game. Deal 2 conspiracy cards to each player, and once they pick one, put the other one back in the box. Each player then draws 4 action cards into their hand, and you're ready to start swaying the public to your cause. In this game, every player takes a turn at the same time, and every turn allows each player to make 2 actions. Actions can be playing an action card, drawing an action card, or flipping over a news card you have won in a previous round to activate its special abilities. Let's say the first action we want to take is to play an action card. We would prepare it by placing it on the table face down. Once everyone has a card ready, they all count off to 3 and do their actions. We flip over our card and read off what it says. Keep in mind that though we have chosen to play this card, its abilities don't go into effect until the end of the second round. This is important because there are action cards that can block or even steal your cards from the first round, so don't count your followers until they've been swayed. We'll talk about gaining followers soon, but before we move on, I just wanted to mention that if you decide to draw an action or flip a news card over, you still will need to prepare an action as if you were going to play it. But as soon as 3 is counted off, you just draw or flip as you desire and put the prepared action card back in your hand. So now that that's out of the way, the objective of each turn is to have the most influence points at the end. The player with the most influence points wins the news card and its followers, but they aren't free to take the card just yet. They have to explain why the news story connects to their particular conspiracy theory. If they can't, the news card is lost and put at the bottom of the news deck. So use your creativity to make a convincing case why you deserve these followers. So that's the main way to play Conspiracy, but if you're not feeling particularly competitive, you can always try out the Cooperative or solo versions as well. In these versions, you play against the deck, as the shadow government hive mind seeks to silence your ravings and your spreading of the truth. So, Conspiracy, is it a good game? Well, first off, I have to say that it has a lot of tongue-in-cheek, dark humor, which I really appreciate. And so, I can't be too hard on it. But let's be objective here. Is it a good game? Well, I think that the mechanics to the game are very good. There's a lot of tactics that could be involved, but the cards themselves don't necessarily have to be super complicated either. There's just a lot of information on the cards, which is what happens when you've got a card game that can be played by itself, cooperatively, or as a competitive kind of thing. So they kind of went all in on different aspects that go on to some cards, so they can be a little cluttered, but on the whole, I think it works. Another thing that you might find difficult is the people who created this, English is not their first language. So if you're getting it in English, some of the instructions and the cards might have things that are worded a little oddly, and you might have to stop and think to figure out what they're trying to say. I ran into a little bit of difficulty, but I did manage to push through it, and it made sense. Now, I don't think that really detracted from the game. It just took me a little while to understand what they were trying to say, so no problem there from my experience, but just something to be aware of. And lastly, just something to bring up, this deals with some real-world conspiracy theories. And if you have somebody that you love or are one of these people that subscribe to one of these theories, you might find it a little bit of a mockery towards you and your ideals. And to that, I can't relate, but I can understand how that might be an issue. So if you are easily offended about people like smiling at your ideologies, you might want to avoid it if you are a flat earther or something like that. There's no judgment on my part, and I honestly don't think there's any judgment on this part. It's just a little bit of fun playing off of how people can take ideas to the far extreme. And, so just keep that in mind. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty solid game, and I enjoyed learning how to play it. And if this is something that you're interested in, I would encourage you looking it up. And until next time, this is Hogwash over and out. Catch you later.